Good morning or afternoon or whenever it may be for you. Um, so I'm April, right? I never say that. I very rarely say that in my videos. And I just assume that it's obvious, right? If you're on my channel, April and the Goddess, that you get that. So I don't feel that it's necessary, I guess. But anyway, um, clearly this video is Miracles and Magic Part 2. Was it Magic and Miracles? I don't remember now which word came first. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All of it is good in whatever order, okay? Another sunny day. It's so interesting. Not a coincidence, I'm sure, that of course, the day that I would be inspired to make part 2 would also be a day where the sun was shining brightly. Despite it being frigid. It is very cold here in the Midwest. Specifically, if you're in the Chicagoland area, you know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? We have like an advisory going on, like do not go outside, like unless it's just absolutely necessary and you can't avoid it. But even then, make it very quick and have everything covered, right? Like everything, cover everything, okay? Um, but anyway, I decided to make a part 2. I realized after making part 1 that video was just, when I tell you, just like this one, inspired, right? But the difference between the two is that I already knew that at some point I was going to make a part 2 right? Based on me watching part 1. I just didn't know when. But both, I just allow myself to be led. When I feel inspired, when it makes sense, when I receive whatever I need to receive to make the video, then I do, okay? On that day, it was just based on where I was at the time. You know, I felt inspired to share where I was. So as helpful as I hope that it literally was just me, you know, going with the flow and literally just sharing, I don't know. I think that's just me. That's a part of my makeup, right? I have a natural desire to share knowledge and wisdom, to share what I know from my own personal experience. I think that I appreciate when people share it with me. Like, I love it so much, gleaning and gaining wisdom from other people in their personal experiences, because it helps add to my own. It helps to expand my perspective and understanding of life, the world, and myself, right? And so that's just naturally something that's a part of me that I feel called, inspired to do. But I realized, like, I talked about these things. I talked about miracles and magic, which actually wasn't a coincidence. I didn't even realize, you're going to realize I'd be all over the place sometimes. Maybe I said that in the last video. I don't know, right? But we're going to get there. I always get there. These little stops along the way. But I had been listening to a subliminal that Erin Lyons created. She had like this bundle that I think she was offering at one time, but because I'm a part of her current Priestess Portal Mastermind, it was like this bonus. I didn't know that we would be getting it. We didn't know we would be getting it, but it's included. And so I started listening to this, like, oh shoot, I can't think of what it's called, but it's basically setting the intentions for the day. And she literally uses the words miracles and magic. I didn't even know why I was using those words. It's so funny. This is what I'm saying. The magic of programming your mind, like of planting the thoughts that you want to think, right? And how they can serve you at times when you don't even realize it. If more often than not, you're intentional with what you're feeding your mind, right? What you're telling yourself, and about yourself, about the day that you want, about what you desire, about the reality that you actually want to experience, when that is the train that you've given, right, fuel to, right, it has momentum, it's out the gate and it's going, right, you're gonna have times when there are distractions, when there are, you have some opposition, when you have some challenges, but because you have so much going, in term vibrationally, excuse me, in terms of these good feeling thoughts, right? These good, positive, high vibrational. What does that mean? The word vibration today? I don't know. High vibrational, positive energy, uplifting, right? Thoughts. Then it's easier for you to find them. They're closer in reach, right? It's easier for you to be like, yeah, no, like this is happening. Oh my God, I know this is happening. And I got all these things. But because you have so much of that around you, in you, flowing through you in terms of those types of thoughts and the residual energy attached to them, right? So when you practice being in a certain vibration, and she talks about this in her videos that she does on YouTube and stuff like that. And none of this is actually new to me. You know, getting in this cohort just made sense. Becoming a part of what Erin's doing. Like, she came in my life. It made so much sense because of the momentum that I created, because of the trajectory that I had put myself on. It made sense that she came into my experience. For those who don't know who she is, Erin Lyons is a quantum channeler and quantum healer, right? And you can probably add on some other things, child. She does a lot of things. But she's a quantum channeler and healer. And some of you may be like, what is that even, right? Don't get me to trying to explain it in this video, because I'm not about to do that. But you should definitely check her out if you feel led. But my journey, like, I didn't just jump to getting into, right, this mastermind with her that she created and is leading in terms of teaching us these techniques and helping us tap in and uncover like who we are, and learning what our own gifts and abilities are as channelers and healers, right? I didn't wake up and just be like, oh, that sounds fun. Like, no, like I had no idea what this stuff is about. And there was so much that predated that got me to this place where I would even be open to something like that. And not even open to hearing about it, but the possibility or the idea or the like that it applied to me as well, that it's something in me, there's something that I'm supposed to do, and this isn't in line with my own journey, right? So anyway, it wasn't a coincidence. I mean, I don't even know. Those were the words that came up, and I don't even know if I did it that day, but because I had been doing the subliminals, it was something that was in me. And those words in particular, and that's not even how I talk, like on an everyday basis. I would probably have been like, I just want to, like, nope, I'm going to have, because I'm very familiar with affirmations, with affirming, with saying what I desire. Like, that's not new to me. But it would probably more have been about like, today is going to be, no, I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to have an amazing day. Damn it, I'm going to have a fantastic day, right? Miracles and Magic is just so funny how those subliminals work. So I'm grateful for them because the feeling of those words in particular, it's makes sense that she would use those, or that's what would come through her, is Miracles and Magic, because it has a frequency to them. Those words have a particular frequency and feel to them that are a little different than the other words that I use. They all are good, high vibrational, but there's something about Miracles and Magic that fall in the realm of maybe they are quantum. I don't know. It's making sense. Okay, things are just making sense right now in this moment. Like I have downloads all the time, or things that just connect. So anyway, my whole point of making this part 2 was because I wanted to share what happened that day. I talked about being low, right? And someone even bringing it to my attention. I wasn't even aware of how I was feeling. And this can happen. You get accustomed to being in the place that you're in. And it wasn't until it was brought to my attention that made me even think about, like I was asked, which made me be like, how am I feeling? And why am I feeling like that? I'm like, oh my goodness, I am feeling like that. Like, yeah, no, I don't want that. And then I was able to change it, right? By the things that I mentioned in the other video, part 1, right? So what happened that day? Because I was just on a little rant and I just let you guys go. And I told you I was going to get back to it, and I did. And I carried the energy of that, the flow of that, and I trusted. I expected to experience miracles and magic. I expected to. I'm going to have to go back some, aren't I, to explain how you even get to the point where you understand how to do these things, or that it comes to you. Like, how did I get to this place where it's just kind of natural for me, and that I'm in a place of expectation? And the reality is that I've had so much evidence, because there's one thing to learn something, and so you now have knowledge, and it's another one to have wisdom, right? And wisdom comes from experience. So I had to experience it for myself. I had to apply all of these things that I had been learning along the way, right? And still learning now. And as I did that, the application of it, the using it in my everyday life, is what presented the evidence. And so then you can trust it because you see that it works. And so I didn't even think twice, right? I'm now at the place where I just expect it. I understand how it works. I understand how this works in terms of being the creator of my own reality, right? But to make it make sense, I'll see. I don't want to take up too much time, but I feel like I have to make it make sense. So I'll go back a little bit in a minute. But first, I know I'm getting there. How did that day go, right? So I have to give you a little bit of context just to make it make sense. So I said that there was some things that I had to do, and I was worried about, like, how things gonna turn out, and all the things, right? And it's funny because I remember using one of the examples as I was just explaining things in part 1. Like, you may even have people who, once you align yourself, right, with miracles and magic, you decide that's what you want. And, these are the trains of thoughts and the words that you're using, and you start to lift your vibration, and, right? And I was saying, you have examples of that in your life, of when, people just happen to be at the right place at the right time. Like, everybody you interacted with, it was just good. It was high vibrational, and this just happened to work out. And I said something about somebody being, that particular person happened to be there. And so it worked out, like, even better than you can expect. I said those words in that video, and that happened. So now let me tell you, I don't mean to like draw things out like this, but it's how my mind works. So please bear with me, right? So to give a little bit of context, because this is what I was going to say, this is going to be a little longer video, but I'm going with the flow. I'm trusting that I'm supposed to share this today. So one of the things that I said was that I'm going through a lot of ish, that it's not like I don't have challenges. I talked about something very significant or in particular or, very challenging that had occurred, especially recently. And I didn't want to get into it at the time. I didn't have time. It didn't make sense at that time. But I lost my significant other, right? So the father of my two youngest children, we lost him a few months ago, okay? And my oldest son, well, I got other sons, technically, my I guess, stepchildren. But the one that I gave birth to, that we have together, he will be 12 soon, 12 years present on this earth, okay? And I have not worked since before he was born. Very much a blessing. Some of it not even intentional. It just worked out that way. But for a great, since he's been here, I've been able to be a stay-at-home mom, right? Even if that wasn't even the intention to remain that at first, it just made sense and became my reality. And I've been able to, stay home and take care of my family, my babies, homeschool them, right? And then, with him being the only source of income, and that's not even the biggest loss, but it is part of my new reality, right? And finally getting to a point where I'm like, I don't have a choice. I have to figure something out, right? And me already knowing and had already been on this trajectory in terms of like what I'm being called to do. That's something that I know I have to focus on. And I was hearing, and people, they're very helpful, and I received some information like from his job, and then I have people in my family telling me like ways that I can get support for my kids, right? And when you're going through something like that, and it was so devastating, and I'm grieving, like that's just not, I just was like, I'm grateful to hear that. It gives me some peace, but that's not, I just couldn't even deal, right? I'm under the flow. I don't know why I use that word, but it's the only thing that I can use to explain like how low I was, right? But at some point, especially with me having the wisdom that I have, I still have low moments. I still grieve. I still go through it. I still have days, but I'm always able to get through. And sometimes I let myself, sometimes it's a day. It's a day full, but every new day is a day for me to reset. And I know that, and I use it. But most of the time I'm able to shift because of what I know. And that has been, I don't want to say a saving grace, but it's been everything for me, to help me get through, okay? And be able to smile and be able to look forward, right? And able to still do what I'm hearing and receiving and knowing that I'm here to do, right? And that includes especially, number one, for my children, right? So I had to throw that in there for you to understand that like these things that were ahead of me were like all of this paperwork and documents and things that I needed to get and in order to try to get something going in terms of income, right? And, you know, right now I'm blessed to be okay, but things are getting thin. Ciao. Things are getting thin. But I just know that all is well. I know that all is well. I'm trusting. Things just continue to work out for me. They always have. I have the evidence of that. Again, I'll go back and explain how I got to that place of getting to this place. So I just trust, right? So I allowed myself to get to this place, right, in the last video of just vibrating so high and feeling so good. And it's like this love. That's the best thing. It feels so loving and good, right? And I'm like, yes, this is the energy that I wanted to be in, that I want to be in as often as possible, knowing that it's not going to be 24/7. That's okay. But I know how to get here. And so it was cold as heck. Not as cold as today, but it was freezing. It was very cold. But the sun was shining, which made it very nice to be out despite the cold. I dressed layered, trust me. So I didn't get cold, really. And all of these things that could have been opposition that I didn't even realize were playing in the background, right? Because I'm no longer without a vehicle. So I'm back on public transportation, which I hadn't been on in I don't know how long, right? These are all the things that I was thinking about before, right? I reset my day. So it's just so funny how all of these things that I didn't even realize that I had this like residual, probably connected to COVID, probably. And I don't even think about COVID. I don't at all. But there was this thing running in the background about being on public transportation. And because I didn't even remember how things work, like how do you pay for it? And like, child, I was so far removed from it that just even like, right? And getting to where I needed to get to, having to walk over to the train and, you know, but I mean, I do what I always do. Like I just got on Google, child. I Googled it, figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's fine. This is like, it's not like I've never done this. Like the first time, I've only moved away from Chicago once, but back then in my early 20s, when I chose to do that, prior to that, I was on the bus and taking public transportation all the time. The world was a little different, but I'm just saying, it's not like I had no familiarity, right? It just felt far removed. So I'm like, girl, you tripping, right? But that's how I was able to talk to myself once I got to this place of like all of those things that could have been opposition. I was just swatting them like flies, child. Whatever. We doing this. This is what needs to happen. And this day makes perfect sense. The sun is shining, blah, 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 blah. Right? And yeah, it just made sense. There was other things that lined up that this day made sense for me to go. So my baby girl wanted to go with me. And I'm like, it was just too cold that day. But anyway, I knew what all I had to take care of. And I'm not even going to talk about all of the extra things. So there were other people who I had to do things with and for. And I'm on public transportation. And so I got them out of the way early in terms of helping them with what they needed. I feel blessed to be able to be a blessing. Like for real. I was able to do that. And in the mode that I was in at that time, that's how I felt. Whereas prior to that, it kind of felt some kind of way. Like, it's not like I don't want to, it just felt like extra, like, It's so funny how much I'm realizing that changed after getting myself to that better feeling place. that I was in that video, and how it kept carrying me, and how my thoughts and how I was looking at everything was so much different. And so I got out early. I was able to take care of what I needed to take care of to assist a couple of people in my life and help, get that out of the way, and still had time to do those things that I needed to do to get things going in terms of these documents and the paperwork or whatever, so that I could get them in and finally see, what type of benefits I could get from my kids. So, my day, everybody I interacted with. Now, first of all, I have to acknowledge who I was showing up and being, because that's so important. Because who says this? I don't know if Aaron says this or not, but I have another teacher that I was a part of his courses in community prior to Aaron's, Reginald Martin of Comedic Center Living. And it made perfect sense at that time that he came into my reality based on where I was, right? And still having a lot of residual religious programming running in the background. And I'm like, what? But it all helped. It just helped make everything make sense for me. And having spirituality, religion, metaphysics, like addressed, broken down in a way that I could see it and understand it scientifically all the way. So he's very good at that. He's brilliant even. So that helped. But I remember him saying, I feel like I've heard him say something about, oh, child, I explained all of that and then forgot why I was even. It happens. It's not a big deal. It'll come back to me if I'm supposed to say it. But anyway, if it comes back, I'll say it. But my whole point is that I recognize that there you go. Something about like the universe responds to who you're being. And I don't know, Aaron may say this as well. And I keep referencing these people because these are people who have been a part of my journey, a significant part of my journey. Aaron just currently is at the moment, but Reginald was. In terms of, because I've been on this journey a long time, and I've come into like new age thought and metaphysics and different ways of thinking of things long ago. Like my journey started quite a while. I was introduced to it kind of young. But I realized that the application of things and how does it play out and make sense in real life, these people have helped me with that part, right? So yeah, the universe responds to who you're being, right? It's to who you are vibrationally. What is your vibration saying to the universe, right? And it's not that words aren't real or powerful or helpful or have no vibration to them, because they do. But I feel like you were saying that, like you can be saying one thing, but if vibrationally you're vibrating something else, right? And you can even pick that up from people when you can feel something coming from them. Like there's certain words that's coming out of their mouth, but it's not adding up with what you're feeling from them. Same thing. The universe is like, yeah, I hear you, bud. It sounds like blah, 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 blah. What you're really saying vibrationally is this. And so that's what the universe is going to respond to and give you more of that, right? So I didn't even realize that. I didn't even think about, it's not like I don't know and understand this, but I wasn't thinking about who I was showing up as in my day. And so I'm feeling wonderful. I'm feeling amazing. I'm expecting miracles and magic, right? That's where I'm at. And so I'm I'm sure I was smiling at people. I do remember like just saying good morning to everybody. I was getting all of that back. It feels so good. I'm getting doors held for me. I'm getting great service. Well, there were a lot of times when no one was talking to me at all, but I had that time to just stand in the sun and reflect and think, and you know, it was just a great day. And everything that I needed to handle worked out. Everything that I needed to take care of worked out perfectly. And one of the places that I needed to go, I needed to get a document, and I think I paid for one. And I was like, the lady who I was talking to, like, yeah, that a one should be fine, you know, because they're just gonna take a copy of it, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. And I left it alone. But then it just kept playing in the back of my mind. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, well, I mean, I was like, nah, I think you're right. You're right. It's fine. I walk away, and I still have to like go to other counters. I'm still in the same department, but I have to go to other counters. Now that you've done this, you've ordered it. Now you got to go right to these other counters. And so I feel like I brought it up again, and they're right next to each other. So she may even heard me that at one point when I got to one of the ladies, and I was like, and she was like, one copy. And I was like, yes. I'm like, that should be fine, right? I'm like, the first lady said I shouldn't need more than one. And I was like, push come to shove, I can always get another one. And the thing is that when you're presenting certified copies of things, it is now more of a digital world we live in. But I'm like, what if one of these places, people, entities, child, want the original? I think that was what was in my head. So anyway, what happened was, when it was time for me to pick up my copy, there were two, right? So I went to another lady to get the copy, but there were two. And I was just like, oh. And I thought maybe, but they were stapled individually. And I'm like, it is two of the same. And I was like, that's weird. Okay, thank you. And as I was leaving, the first lady called me back, and she said, did you get the two copies? I said, I did get two copies. Did you? She was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure. And she was like, yeah. She was like, I just, you know. She was like, they was kind of in my business. But I'm like, don't get out of my business. I'm doing what I'm doing. And she was like, I wanted to make sure you had to. Now, that may sound like very simple, but it just gave me peace. And she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to do that. But it's so funny. Like, she was the example that I was giving in my last video. Like, that literally happened for me. That the right person worked out better than I could have thought. Oh, man, that was so funny. But yeah, like, my day just continued to go well. It continued to go well. I brought that energy back home with my kids. The rest of my day went well, feeling successful and accomplished. And I still had to now go through the process and submit all of these documents. But that was, I don't even know if I did it that day. I may have did it the next day. I'm not sure. But, and I just wanted to share, like, I wasn't just talking. Like, I had the day that I decided I wanted to have, that I intended, and that I continued, right, to ride the flow. And I think because I expected it, when you expect something, you don't worry, you don't wonder, you don't wish, you don't hope, you know, you trust. So it's hard to be in any other kind of energy that detracts from that or comes up against that. Right? So that's very powerful to have expectation. Now, this video is already 30 something minutes long. Do I dare make it longer by going back and explaining how I got here? Right? Because I think that, I don't know, it may be helpful to someone, because we're all in different places in our journey. And you can hear all of these things that sound great and wonderful. But it's kind of like, depending on where you're at when you're listening to it, it just feels like such a leap, right? It feels like such a jump. And I understand and I get that. So I guess on some level, maybe I felt like it would be encouraging to someone to not only share the outcome, right, of the day that I had after what I decided, right, in part one, that you can get here no matter where you're at, right? I think that could be encouraging to someone. So I think what I'll do is make a part 3 just so they aren't crazy long. Is that I'll do a part 3 where I kind of take you through the steps, right? That I'll take you through my own personal journey. I'm going to share my experience so that you understand how I got here to be in this place where I'm able to literally create my own reality, right? Where I know that I can, that I know that I do, and that I can, and that I do it. So it's one thing to like, know, I know I can. I know that I'm, like you say it, like I get it. I get the concept. I'm the creator of my reality. I get that. And I kind of get the science behind it. Or I get, like, I've heard enough things to break it down to understand why we are, right? But then to actually do the things, to actually create, right? And there are a lot of videos that help you understand, that may even give you tips on how to do it. And they work. And I'm telling you that they do. Well, depending on which videos you watch. I don't know who y'all watching, child. So let me not claim that. But there are powerful techniques, right? Like subliminals and like practicing meditation and gratitude and all of these things, right? To help center you, ground you in it, to take the reins, right? In terms of your vibration and your train of thought, right? Because listen, I know it's not easy. People use train of thoughts. And my juicy mouth is spitting. That happens. I get excited. But like train, it's such a perfect metaphor. It's such a perfect, or is it analogy, child? Y'all know what I'm saying. Just because of the not only length but weight of it, and the fact that there's something of force in the beginning, a driving force, but that there's all of this weight, the weight of what's attached to it, that helps to give it momentum and speed, right? So it makes perfect sense to use that, right? And when it comes to thought, there are, you may have heard that what is it? Is it 90% of the thoughts that we think our thoughts that we've thought before, 90% of the thoughts are not new thoughts, right? There's all of these trains. They have all of this momentum and they keep running like they're well-oiled machines, and they go and they go and they go, right? And it's not until we wake up our conductor. I don't know, child, I'm going with the analogy, metaphor, whichever one it is. It's not until we wake our damn conductor up and say, damn it, I'm going to need you to get on another track. I mean, we have thoughts where like literally the conductor has gotten up and went to the back and they are passenger. They chilling. We're very comfortable with those trains of thoughts. And so they're so embedded in us, we don't even realize that we're even thinking them, right? They're just running smoothly on time every day, the same thoughts and we don't even realize it. That is crazy and powerful at the same time, because you can also create trains that work in your favor, right? You can also get your ass up and get back to the front of the train and decide, like, intentionally, like, take control of the thoughts or plant new thoughts, even new trains that can do the exact same thing, that are powerful and encouraging and uplifting and affirming, and they create miracles and magic, right? You can, that's the beauty of it. So it's not a bad thing that our thoughts are like that, when you understand that you can use it to your advantage. That's the key. Our design is magnificent. Like, our bodies, the way it's designed, it's something that has never, like, I don't even know. Like, we're still catching up. There's so much about our bodies, I believe, and especially the brains, right? While we're only accessing such a smidgen of it compared to its capacity, we still have yet to catch up with it, right? It is a technology that is beyond, right? But we're in it. We have access, and we do have ways to hijack the motherboard, child. I don't know. I'm trying to keep along this train of thought, this analogy thing that I'm on. But like, now I'm on computers instead of a train. But you get what I'm saying, right? It's so powerful. It's so powerful that we have the ability to do that. So I've rambled extra. I'm going to stop here. I hope that this has been encouraging, that I've helped to, I don't know. I guess I just really just didn't want to just say something and it sounds good, but I wanted you to know that it is good. I wanted you to know that it does work. It does work. I promise you. I'm not just saying it. I live it all the time. So I guess I will make a part 3. I'm not sure, but it feels like it's feeling like I'm being called to make a part 3, to further connect the dots, to add a little bit more context in terms of how I got here. And hopefully, no matter where you are in your journey, I can give you something that will help make things make sense and help you to know that no matter where you are, that it is possible. It is absolutely 100% possible. Okay? Because I didn't get here overnight, is what I'm trying to say. So no matter where you are, I've likely been there at some point in my journey. So that's what I'm saying, right? So anyway, I love you. I don't even know you, and I love you. I automatically just say I love you. And it's so funny that I just realized that I do that. I'm like, I love you. Because I do. I don't just say shit just to be saying it. I'm realizing that I mean that. And that's such a wonderful thing. I love being loved. It's a natural part of me that I'm allowing myself to embrace, that this is just who I am, and that it's completely fine to share it and gift it to whoever is open to receive it. And I don't have to know you from a can of paint. But we do know each other. We do. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Okay? So there's something there. Some kindred spirit, something that brought you here. All right. So anyway, I love you. I will let you go for now. And hope to see you in part 3. I feel like there will be another one, but just have the most, ooh. Oh, I'm feeling so many things. May you feel the goodness and warmth and kindness and love and protection and guidance of all that is available to you, because all of that is available to you at all times. You are surrounded and engulfed in it. You just have to allow yourself to feel it, to believe that it's there so that you can tap into it, because it's always, always there. We cut ourselves off from it. We cut ourselves off from it. But it's so abundantly, it's so abundantly a part of you, in you, through you, around you. Oh man, may you experience just a sprinkle of it, and even that will feel amazing to you. So I wish that for you, so that you can have an amazing, wonderful, beautiful, joyful, prosperous, progressive, successful, enlightening, and happy and splendid day full of miracles and magic. All right. Peace.